The Blackhawks couldn't survive the hurricane winds thrown at them by Carolina. They lose 4-3 in overtime. We're going to talk about it and our awesome top shelf takeover next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. Sarah's here, as always, running the show. Thanks for being patient on our delayed start here. We just got back from our top shelf takeover, which was great. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show.
Good time.
And hopefully some of our several friends that were there are watching us here in the postgame show. Evil Bill, John, Marty, Josh, Tori, Simon, the whole gang. Everybody was there. It was awesome. It was a great night. We'll fill you in on all the details coming up in a bit, but do us a favor, hit that like button for us. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you are also subscribed to our YouTube page. And if you're listening on the podcast, we love you. We thank you. Follow, subscribe, rate, whatever they call for on your favorite app, but a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify would be wonderful. Hawks lose 4-3 to Carolina, and boy, if it wasn't for Peter Mrazek, this game could have been a lot worse.
I mean, he earned the third star of the night honors for sure. I mean, this is back-to-back games of him just kind of standing on his head to keep the Hawks in a game, and it was a very similar feel to the Vegas game. Like, it almost followed the same script of get out to a first period lead, give it up in the second period, but you score late in the second period to take the lead back.
Yeah.
Against Vegas, they held on and got the win. Against Carolina, a referee not blowing a whistle.
There were a lot of weird play. I mean,
that you on that one, and then drop it in
that
overtime.
puck was not stopped by Mrazek. It was just sitting there on the ice, and had it gone the other way and they blew the whistle, people would have been furious. It sucks.
Sure.
My issue with the referees was several including Nick Foligno is having his stick held right there. Yep. The linesman just standing there like, hey, look at that. He's holding on to his stick. That's cool. And then the other end, Bedard gets a little ticky-tack hooking call, trying to lift the stick and take the puck away.
Frank Nazar as well. Too.
Yeah, there were a lot of blown calls in this. So look, that's par for the course in the NHL night tonight. There is no accountability. They don't have to explain their games or their performances, so it's going to continue until some changes are made. But that was not the difference in this game. The difference in this game was, and brace yourselves for the fancy stats, shot attempts in this game at all strengths were 91-49 in favor of Carolina. And that's accurate. Yeah. That's a team that was, hey, we have the puck. Put it on net. Put it on net.
Well, I mean, that's the difference between the Blackhawks and the Hurricanes is that the Hurricanes are a team built to be on you 24/7.
I want to be on you.
Take the puck away and control it. And that's just what they did in this game. And this is a Blackhawks team that was outmatched coming into this game. The Hurricanes, I believe, were tied for the lead in the league of shots on goal per game. The Blackhawks are one of the bottom 3 teams in allowing shots on goal. So to be shocked that the shooting numbers were what they were would just be ignorant of the two teams that you were watching coming in this game. So it's basically a miracle that the Blackhawks with 6 minutes left still had a 3-2 lead in this game.
It is. That is a good way to put it. A miracle is accurate. I will say, though, I do feel like I don't want to just dismiss this as, well, they're the less talented team and they hung in there. That's all true. But I did feel like, obviously the second periods have not been going well, and that's something they're going to have to address. Outshot 13-6 in the second, 19-7 in the third. They got to figure that out. But, there were so many opportunities in the third where the Hawks could have carried the puck in, but they were just so scared to defend the lead. There were 2 or 3 times where Alex Vlasic alone had open ice in front of him and just opted out of it. tried to bring it around the boards or send it in, harmlessly and kind of go back and check. That is not a way to win. And you've got to attack. Like, you had the goalie advantage. Mrazek was better tonight. So just keep peppering. Just keep putting shots on goal. You don't know what's going to happen. And it was frustrating me that they looked like, yes, they were getting caved in by the Hurricanes in the second and third periods, but it felt like they were sort of adding to that themselves by playing the hockey equivalent of the prevent defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is something to be said for trying to carry the puck more, create more off of that puck possession. But also, on the flip side of that, I think we saw a few times tonight where carrying the puck too much got some guys in trouble. I mean, Connor Bedard had some rough turnovers in today's game, but I think you're against the Carolina team that forces you to, if they implement their game, you're going to be on your heels a lot. So I would love for this team to be able to control the puck more, but I think in the current state that they're in, to do that against Carolina is going to take a Herculean effort. So I can see where maybe there were opportunities to maybe carry it, and it just guys didn't have the legs because they're defending for the majority of their shifts, so they chip it in. Maybe it is a confidence thing if they don't have the play, they don't have the confidence to carry it in. I know Alex Vlasic specifically has talked about that as something that's still growing with him, is being confident enough with the puck on his stick to make some of those plays. I think for the young guys, that will come with more time. For veterans, I mean, I think when you're playing a team like Carolina, you're kind of in the mindset of like survive to the next shift, and maybe that became part of their mentality when
part of the DNA.
When they're up 2-0, when they're up 3-2, to just be like, well, let's just kill it, get down, get the puck down the ice, get off and get fresh bodies on. And it's like you said, it's a good analogy to kind of put it to the prevent defense, because eventually teams will chip away enough at you that the prevent defense or playing back like that will come and bite you.
Yeah, that's how it felt. I mean, look, it is a talent gap massive, no doubt, but I don't know. I was getting a little aggravated with the passiveness of the Blackhawks through parts of this game. I want to tell you about your 4-star nominees. First, we got to tell you about the 3 stars. Peter Mrazek stopped 44 of 48 Hurricanes shots on goal. Jacob Slavin and Sebastian Aho are your other 2 stars of the game. So we have nominated 2 Blackhawks for this one. Ryan Donato with a goal and an assist, +1, and 14:54 of ice time, 2 shots on goal, a hit, and not great at the dot, so we won't talk about that. Philip Kurashev returns to the lineup for Pat Maroon, who was banged up. A goal, an assist, and 11:18, 1 shot on goal, and a block shot. So Philip Kurashev responds with a 2-point night. So those are your 2 nominees. Get those votes in, and we'll reveal the winner at the end of the show.
Good for Kurashev.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about his last chance, and he showed up with basically nothing.
Yeah.
But made the most out of his 11 minutes tonight. I don't know if this changes anything in the eyes of the organization. Obviously, the goal was the result of right place, right time, great pass. Yeah. Ryan Donato with a great, took a nice feed from Taylor Hall, who carried it in and put it and scored on that one. So, and Kurashev gets a secondary assist. So I don't know if I'm ready to say Philip Kurashev's back, but it's good to see some results, and I hope that can go build his confidence a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see what is the situation with Pat Maroon. He's, by Andrew Sorensen's words, day-to-day with a back. Aren't we all? And
correct.
I think, Kurt, take advantage of the opportunity presented to you. Like, complete credit to Kurashev on being able to do that. He's getting some ice time now with some forwards down in the group, so that's good. But if let's say the next game he's back in the same position, if Maroon's not back, if Craig Smith is still out, then let's see what the next game is, because it's not with Kurashev. It's not one game has solved everything, because He hasn't put anything together this season consistently enough to be like, well, it might have just been a one-off. Like, no, like this is the guy that we've seen all year. So you have a really good game where you're taking advantage of some opportunities. If you get another one, string that together. Just like with this team.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a good performance. Good. Now let's string it into 2 good performances. Let's, like Sorensen says, like you have to stack those things on top of each other. Small increments first, and then the big things will follow.
And it doesn't even have to necessarily, especially for a guy like Kurashev, it doesn't necessarily mean point production.
It doesn't have to.
But it means good forechecking, winning board battles, being in the right place, being responsible defensively, and effective in the offensive zone, creating chances when given the opportunity. Like, those are the things you want to see from him, because, look, 54 points last year, great. A lot of that is credit to Connor Bedard. I don't want to take anything away from Kurashev. He did those points. He certainly did earn them. But there's a way bigger sample size that Philip Kurashev is a 12th or 13th forward on this team and needs to do the little things right to stay in the lineup. And as we've learned, even the most talented players on this team, like Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar and whoever you want to name, they do better offensively when they're playing better defensively. The defense has led to the offense lately. Guys are starting to learn that lesson. I think tonight might have been a stop back in that regard for Bedard a little bit, but not worried about him at all. But being dependable defensively and doing the right things in your own end lead to shorter shifts, lead to more energy, lead to puck possession, lead to offensive scoring chances. It all comes together. It all works together.
Yeah, I think we're at a point this season now where we were last season with Lucas Reichel, with Philip Kurashev, where it's just like, we don't need you to go out there and score a goal every game or put up a point every shift. Like, just go and make sure that the small details of the game are done right, and then things will snowball, hopefully positively in the right direction. So yeah, I think with Kurashev, it's the consistency with everybody. It's the consistency. And you just got to be able to, again, like I said, like, stack the good performances together. And that's where this team is at. Like, I know early in the season we were thinking like, hey, maybe you squint hard enough, you might have some competitive games into March and April, and that soon went out the window.
That ship sailed, yeah.
So then now you're at a point where what are those small incremental victories that you can pull out of it?
Well, and I mean, look, you mentioned consistency. That will always be the biggest issue for a young team. And, you know, if you want to look at the San Jose Sharks, who everyone's really excited about, even though they're basically the same team as the Hawks, they're having consistency issues too, right? Like, they'll have games where they look great and games where they get hammered. And that's what goes along with having young players on your team, because no one's development, even if it's Connor McDavid, his development wasn't straight up. There's always peaks and valleys. Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, name who you want to name. All of those guys have had their struggles at some point in their career, and then you just hope that they become less frequent, and they will. And I was talking to somebody today at the takeover, and saying basically, and we say this all the time, like, the guys that matter, the guys that are going to be here long term, the arrow's pointed up on all of them. Good or bad game, you know, now and again you'll have a bad game from them, or a learning experience game, but it doesn't mean that they're not getting better and not improving. And I think that's as we're talking about what to watch at this point of the season, that's it. How are the guys that actually matter looking? We should spend a little bit of time on Connor Bedard in the next segment. We're going to get to your super chats too, talk a little bit about our takeover. We've got to hear from Taylor Hall and Anders Sorensen coming up in a little bit here. We'll get to that all coming up next on CHGO Blackhawks. And whether it's college or pro, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures are in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And we are also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Just join over 10 million members and sign up today. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And it is playoff time, which means it is now or never. So don't miss out on the last few games of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash and watch the playoffs. Sign up today and you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. That's something I like to hear. So download the app today. Use the code CHGO. And when you do that, you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned the San Jose Sharks that everybody wants the Blackhawks to be. You know who's last place in the NHL now after tonight's action?
The San Jose Sharks?
The San Jose Sharks. The Blackhawks are now 31st based on regulation wins.
Suck it, Sharks.
Yeah, stick that one up, San Jose. You and your good vibes with your young players.
Yeah. Take that.
Yeah.
All
we
right.
don't need good vibes here.
Super chat time.
We'd
like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Frank, hockey fan. I don't know if his name is Frank and he's a hockey fan, or if he's a hockey fan that is Frank.
That's a generic person in EA Sports.
He's Joe NHL's rival. Should Bedard have been benched for a few shifts for his lackluster D-zone plays and giveaways? No.
Oh. Look, are you going to have stinkers from some of these young guys? And Bedard is not immune to that? Of course. I mean, if he was having a stretch of games where this was becoming a constant issue, then I think, yeah, you sit him down and you say, like, look, can't have this. Like, you get away with it once or twice because of how skilled you are, but consistent problems like that would be cause for ice time, getting benched and all that stuff. I think for one game, I probably would say you don't do that because you're still in a game where, you're up 3-2. You're pushing at the end of the third period. You're pushing into overtime, and like you're still gonna have a 19-year-old, even though he is so highly skilled and all that. You're still gonna have a guy who's figuring out the league and still figuring out like what works. So you live with the game that's like this outside of the 7, 8, 9 next games.
And the one that led to the shorthanded goal, he's trying to make something happen.
Right.
He's through the neutral zone, crossing his own blue line, and he's probably counting on some help behind him. Look, maybe he's got to learn. Maybe don't try that against Carolina, who is one of the tougher checking, better defending teams in the NHL. They always have been. Situational, fine, but there's been many times where Bedard has done the same thing, and he's gained the zone and gotten through the traffic and created great scoring chances. So you don't want to punish a guy for using his instincts and being aggressive offensively when you don't really have anyone else on the team that does it. Do you want him to be better? Do you want him to make better decisions? Yes. Has he been making better decisions overall this year than last? Yes. Has he been making better decisions lately than earlier this season? Yes. You are seeing the decision-making improve more. The level has gotten better. He's improved at it. There's still going to be mistakes. And anytime you're a player that is aggressive offensively, there's going to be consequences to that sometimes. It happened with Patrick Kane. It happens all the time. So you don't want to coach that aggressiveness out of him. You want him to have that mindset, but maybe pick your spots better. Maybe know your personnel, right? Look up who are the two guys I'm going in on. Are they going to be, what is my, do the math meme in your head of, can I split these two particular defensemen? Right? Is it their version of TJ Brody or is it Brent Burns? And decide accordingly.
Yeah, you're not going to get past guys like Burns and Slavin with those kinds of moves. But yeah, it's part of the learning process. And again, he comes out against Tampa Bay and does some of the same things, then I think you say, look, we get it, but also you got to figure out what does not work.
Yeah.
And there's been enough on tape of what does not work at this level that he will need to finish getting out of his game that he, got away with so much in the junior level because he was the best amongst his peers. Well, now he's still highly skilled, but he's not the best amongst his peers anymore. Like, he's got to continue to grow and continue to learn those lessons. And I had some people too saying like, oh, he shouldn't have been out there in overtime. Like
if Bedard's not out there in overtime, people would be pissed. Why are they just punting? Why are they not trying to win or just trying not to lose?
Yeah,
and they're horrible in shootouts. Why would they try to get to the shootout? This is what we're talking about.
You have to put your best players out there to try and win. And if Bedard's making a few mistakes, that's one thing. Again, like, you have to go out there and you have to go out and try and win. And Bedard gives you the best opportunity to do that. He's still growing his game. This is not the fully realized version of Connor Bedard, and this is who he's going to be for the next 18 years of his career, 19 year, whatever, however long he plays. Like, this is not going to be the final version of him. He's far from it. So there's still going to be some growing pains. All these young guys are going to go through growing pains. It's just, how often do you have to see it? And at what level are they going to be making those mistakes?
That's it. That's all there is to it. Like Philip said, that Nazar and Bedard had to be better and not let Nate just get that pass over to Aho. Read your sentence again. You're talking about two guys that are 19 and 20 against two of the best players in hockey.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a learning lesson for them. If you expect Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar to go out there and dominate those guys, it's not going to happen. But at the same time, you've got to put your best players out there in overtime to give yourself a chance to win. Yep. They don't have a lot of success in shootouts. Why do that? It's a 5-on-5 is a coin flip. Whoever gets possession seems to, thank you, 3-on-3, seems to come out on top, and
that's
the better team got it.
That's the other thing. I wish we could have one player who could win a faceoff.
That would be good.
That'd be nice.
That would be good.
Somebody.
Well, didn't they remind me against
they started
Nashville? Foligno took the draw.
Yeah.
And then won it, or I actually think he lost it. But then he left the ice and Bedard came on.
Yeah,
or
it might have been Nazar.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened tonight, too. They started with Foligno, Bedard, Vlasic. Foligno lost the draw. Nazar jumped on.
Yeah.
So, it's
the best you can do.
That's you're in a position where 3-on-3 hockey, you got to, obviously, yes, you have to be smart with the puck, but also that is a version of hockey that benefits fast, skilled players. So you're putting out two of your most skilled, more fleet of foot skaters out there with Nazar and Bedard, and guys that are, they've getting some chemistry built. So I don't have a problem with that, because that is probably your best chance at putting out guys that are going to give you a chance to play offensively and play with some creativity. You give up something defensively, yeah, but that's kind of what you live with in overtime.
They should have put Reichel out there. He won 67% of his faceoffs tonight.
What, 2 of 3?
Excuse me. 4 of 6.
Oh, okay. That's double what I thought.
Give him some recognition, damn it.
Good for Lucas there.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is what we were talking about the other night. Like, it's living and dying with the result every night. There's no point in doing that in the rebuild. The fact that they got the Hurricanes to overtime is a win.
Yeah, I mean, this is 3 straight games with a point. You got a win over Vegas. You pushed a Hurricanes team to overtime. You would have
points in 3 straight.
Yeah, you would have loved to have gotten the win against Nashville. Like, it's you're getting some good things to take away from in each game. You're also learning lessons which is important for the young guys, and some of your veterans, notably ones that are on expiring deals, have put some good performances together. Ryan Donato had a really good game tonight. Taylor Hall had a really good game tonight.
Yeah.
Like, all those things are good for this team in the spot that they're thinking of right now.
100%. Lots of people in the chat saying, is there anyone that's going to come into the draft this year? You know, Hawks will probably be picking the top 3, almost certainly. One of them be immediately NHL ready.
One of the, I would say, I would bet the top 4 picks, whatever order they go in, it very much looks like it's going to be Schaefer, Hagens, Martone, and Misa. Randomize them however you want. I would say those 4 guys have the best chance and the most likely of all being plug and play next year in the NHL, depending on what team they go to. I think on this team next year, high likelihood whoever they pick, wherever they pick them, is going to be playing in the NHL. Because I think that's where this team is going to be. I think there's going to be a roster spot open for whoever that is, especially if it's a forward. So I again, we're going to keep diving into the draft class as we get closer to it, as the season goes on. Go back and watch our interview with Stephen Ellis of the Daily Faceoff. He had some really good insight on the draft class where it's at now. And yeah, I mean, you have, again, 2 picks in the first round, 2 in the second round. Don't be surprised if Kyle Davidson gets aggressive, tries to, move up, maybe get back into the first round again for a third time this year. We'll see. I mean, this is still a team that is rebuilding, still stockpiling top-end prospects, but we're also now getting to a point where some of that first wave of players that were part of that rebuild blueprint and the rebuild plan from Davidson are now starting to realize their pro games, their NHL games. Nazar, Korchinski, obviously Bedard, like they're coming up the system here.
Hey, do us a favor if you've not done it yet. Please hit the like button. We got a lot of people watching right now. This late night delayed show, we appreciate that, but we've not had a lot of likes hit, so we need that like button hit. It's very easy. Takes 2 seconds. It's right there next to the play button. Hit that thumbs up. It would help us out a lot. And while you're hovering right there, you might as well hit subscribe as well. Sean Cassidy had a comment in the chat praising the game. He took a break from ripping Connor Bedard and took a moment to praise Louis Crevier, who had a really good game. He was the second highest rated player according to HockeyStatCards.com in the game, not just of the Blackhawks, but just total. He had a solid game. That is you want to talk about unexpected storylines in this season? Louis Crevier is one of them. He had an assist, 2015 of ice time, 2 shots, 4 shot attempts, 5 hits, a takeaway, and a blocked shot. He's like Timu Alex Vlasic. Very big, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He just goes out there and
I was like, Solana?
Oh, yeah, no, I should have said, no. Wish.com. Great value, Alex Vlasic. Is that a better way to put it? President's choice for you older people out there, Alex Vlasic. But yeah, he's playing really well. And we talked about it after the last game when you're making changes on your defensive rotation. It's Allen, which I don't love. It's Kaiser coming out. It's Brody coming out, but it hasn't been Louis Crevier. So that is a really big development. I still think, limited sample size, but man, like to see a guy put up big numbers like that on the hockey stat cards is impressive. And I don't know. There were so many hits he threw tonight that were just comical because guys just fly off of him. He's massive. And, you talk about like the physical build of him. He's not just tall and stringy and lanky. Like Kevin Korchinski's kind of lanky, and I wouldn't call Vlasic lanky. He's pretty built, but Crevier is as muscular as he is big. Yeah. I've loved his game. I think that he's looked really, really good. And I hope that starts getting some attention because I've to pay attention now when they announce the starters. It's like my way of like, who are the fans noticing? So now your pops are always Bedard.
Of course. Yeah.
Tavo gets a pop.
Yeah.
Foligno gets a pop. Vlasic gets a pop.
Yep.
And I heard Crevier was a starter today. A little more than your average polite applause.
Just say you're one of our guys.
Yeah. Like people are starting to notice.
Yeah, I think that is a guy that has worked his way up. I mean, he's 7th round pick, played a significant amount of time in the AHL, and again, as we talk about these young guys, like it'll take some time for some players to fully realize what they can be at the professional level. And Crevier is one of those guys, and he got he got the opportunity once Sorensen kind of took over, and maybe that was a personal preference between difference between Sorensen and Luke Richardson for calling up those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Isaac Phillips earlier this year getting time, and then when it was time to go down to Rockford and pick up another defenseman under Sorensen, it was Crevier that came up, and I think he's worked really well. He's worked hard, and yeah, it's a guy that can, when you're that tall, it can be very hard to move fluidly on the ice, and he's not a giraffe on skates. Like, he has definitely got some good feet to him for that size, and I think that length really works well with Alex Vlasic, and it's something that Anders Sorensen likes.
Are you also chuckling at Nice 14's comment about TJ Brody? If Kyle didn't sign TJ Brody, I'm convinced the Hawks would have 10 more wins. Brody is a -10 WAR
Negative
player.
10 WAR.
Good Lord.
That's rough.
He's not that bad. Holy God.
He's not great.
He's not great, but what's a -10 player halfway through the season? No, I don't think so. All right, we got to hit the break zone. Again, hit that like button for us. We're just teetering on 100. Next up, we're going to talk about the takeover a little bit. Then we're going to hear from Taylor Hall and Anders Sorensen on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. But if you wanted a ticket to tonight's Hawks game, boy, they were available. This was the smallest crowd of the year. I saw Ben Pope said 15,000 and change, but probably closer to 12,000 actually in the arena. Some reasons: Monday night, freezing cold,
Super
national
cold.
championship,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But you probably could have gotten in on Game Time for like $3 to this one. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks, well, they filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time sorting through thousands of tickets to find the best value. They have curated deals to make it easier than ever to find the best price on great seats. They've got an on-time ticket delivery guarantee, the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. It's amazing. We love Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. With Game Time, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO. You'll get $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
And for the best way to start 2025, you want to head to our friends at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram and shop the Start Something New sales event to score some of the New Year's best savings on new vehicles. Hurry in today to browse their huge inventory of new vehicles, and right now, get 0% financing on all new 2024 Jeep models. That's what the copy says.
Yep.
Shop.
I mean, if they haven't been driven before, they're still new.
That's true. I haven't seen it. It's new to me. Or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram help you during each step of your car shopping journey. With Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing now are the same prices you can expect to shop in-store and online. That's because Ray's Price Promise means no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. And since they prioritize affordability for their customers, hurry into Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram today and shop one of Chicago area's largest inventories. Then drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963.
All right, Super Chats time. I know we got a couple more. We have Michael Evans says thoughts on the new front office hire. Yeah, this sort of slid through the cracks today. The Hawks have hired Chris O'Hearn as their, well, reportedly, by Michael Russo of The Athletic, hired Chris O'Hearn as their VP of Hockey Operations. Chris O'Hearn was Bill Guerin's right-hand man and assistant general manager since 2019 and his chief contract negotiator. So this is a significant move for the Blackhawks front office. And it's noted here in Bleacher Nation, this is written by our buddy Tab Bamford. With the cap going up significantly, contract negotiations are going to be a little bit different. A lot of young guys coming up needing new contracts, so they're bringing in a guy who has expertise in negotiating and writing contracts. So this is I can't call it a good hire. I never heard of Chris O'Hearn until today, but rave reviews out of Minnesota, and it's never a bad idea to have a guy who knows the cap backwards and forwards as big, important contracts start coming up, and trying to figure out where to slot things as the cap grows significantly. So.
Yeah, I think that's good to have. I'm not against having a guy that is specifically there to do that job. Again, this is a Blackhawks front office that is not a one-person show. Kyle Davidson obviously is the general manager, the head of everything, but there's a reason that they have 6 other assistant GMs is because Kyle Davidson isn't the do-it-all person. He's got to have a group around him to support him and takes the opinions of everyone into consideration when he makes decisions. So having another person in the room that is specific towards understanding the cap and negotiations and like that's a good thing. Yeah, like you said, like with the players that are going to come up to new contracts that you're going to be signing, you got a guy like Frank Nazar. Connor Bedard's extension is on the horizon. It's good to have that. And then with the salary cap going up so significantly, having someone whose job it is going to just be figuring out how to navigate all that, that's a good thing. I wanted to, because I didn't have a chance while we were at the takeover to kind of dig into this, I wanted to see who some of the signings that Chris O'Hearn would have done recently with the Minnesota Wild. I see Jujhar Khaira on the list. Take that for what it's worth.
Well, look at that. I want to address too what our buddy Windy City Hockey said. So Kyle Davidson's job got smaller. No, I look, Kyle Davidson has always been, and I think this is what you want in your general manager. Whether or not you are sold on Kyle Davidson or not is beside the point. You don't want one guy making every decision. You want multiple voices. You want people that are giving advice, seeing things, looking at it from different angles. You have guys who are expertise in analytics, guys who are former players or coaches or GMs who have done it before, and they know the eye test real well, or former scouts. You want to have a good variety of opinions in the room so you can make the best educated guess you can. Look, Sam Bowman had a lot of those people too. The problem with him, if you talk to people that worked under him, was that he didn't listen enough to what those people were telling him. There were a lot of times where his scouts or his assistants said, let's stay the hell away from this guy. And he said, nope, I want to do it. I'm taking him. It happened in the draft. It happened with free agent signings, trades, all sorts of things. So you want a general manager who, I don't want to say that they defer and take a consensus. And I still think that the GM should be the ultimate decision maker and the ultimate tiebreaker.
Right.
But you want a guy who's open-minded to other people's ideas so the best and most educated decisions can be made. So I think bringing in experienced front office people is a really, really smart thing to do.
Yeah. I think that goes along with, with what's the better, I think what's the better way of going about it is not having someone that is supposed to be in charge of everything. Like, divvying things out makes it a little bit easier for, clearer decisions to be made. And yeah, as long as everyone's on board with the direction the organization needs to go, which if they weren't, they probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good way to go to have, that extra little bit of help.
Did you get any research done?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really. The So he was left the organization, the Wild, in December of 2023. So looking here, he did an extension with Ryan Hartman, 3 years, $4 million AAV. Extension with Matt Zuccarello, 2 years, 4.125. Extension with Marcus Foligno, 4 years, $4 million. We're just trying to look at for like significant things.
I mean,
the
Wild's cap situation. Well, it'll be way better when the Parise and Suter big hits come off the books next year. Right now, those are $7.371 million each.
He did Matt Boldy at 7x7.
Well, these are pretty good deals.
Matt Boldy. He wouldn't have had the Brock Faber deal, which is a good deal.
What about Joel Eriksson? Would that have been him?
I mean,
no, that was
basically
signed,
between 2019 and December of 2023. It would be him.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to find the bigger ones here. He would have done the Kaprizov deal, which, I mean, when you're dealing with, I think that's and that's kind of the big thing is like looking at the big contracts. The Boldy one, 7x7 for him. That's fantastic.
Bargain.
Kaprizov, he was a big money guy, and you were able to get him for like reasonable, right? Like for what Kaprizov means to
$9 million.
Team. Yeah,
he's worth way more than that.
Extremely reasonable. So I think this is a guy that has negotiated with players of that ilk before. So that's good experience to have when you got Frank Nazar and Connor Bedard and like these younger guys that are going to, garner more money and are building, important building blocks, cornerstones, you could say, for this rebuild, and figuring out how it all fits together to where you don't want to put yourself into a situation where we extend all these young guys all at the same time for max money, and then that's it. Then you have no cap flexibility whatsoever. This team isn't in a position to spend to the cap.
Right.
And I think hopefully this is a move where you get someone in who can navigate it to where you can lock in your players, make it reasonable to make them happy, but then also give yourself enough flexibility where you make a big free agency signing or make a big trade, you're not in a position where it's just like you have to get super creative or you have to get rid of important pieces because, we didn't spend properly.
Yeah.
Because the former front office in this for the Blackhawks, they ran into those problems.
Right. Let's pay the guy now and figure it out later.
Right.
And then figuring it out later got you to the point where you had to do a full rebuild. But a lot of people asking, does this mean Kaprizov's coming to Chicago?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Confirmed. E5. No, but I think one thing that Kyle Davison is, I don't think I know. One thing he has not done yet is sign a major top rate, huge money free agent.
Right.
He's gotten decent deals done with Teravainen and Bertuzzi. A lot of the guys he has paid, he's overpaid simply because they're here for a rebuild.
We're going to give you more money
yes.
to come here and do more than just play on the ice.
And they have the ability to pay that
right.
much because of the cap space. But that massive deal, should it be a Mitch Marner or a Mikko Rantanen or someone of that, someone of that level, to have someone who's done it before is a very, very helpful thing. Like, hey, maybe here's something you haven't thought about, or here's something maybe you don't realize.
Yeah.
It makes all the sense in the world to me. All right. We got Taylor Hall queued up, right? Ready to go, Sarah? I got to hear a little bit of this on the way over to the studio. Liked what Taylor Hall had to say. So let's give it a listen. This courtesy of the Blackhawks.
Someone was given for you. Certainly could have asked for us to do more. Put you guys in position on that one.
No, I mean he was awesome. I mean, he's been really good for a huge portion of the season, and he works hard and he's always positive. He's a very good teammate, so that would have been a nice win to get for him, especially playing his former team. We just, I think we got just a bit overwhelmed by their shot quantity and just how much time they spent in our end, and we couldn't hold on to a lead. With that being said, so I think just overall, we had a goalie that played more than well enough to get a win, and we couldn't do it.
Ryan Donato just always seems to be on the attack. What do you like about playing on the line with him?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good feel for one another. I think when you start playing with a guy, it's important just to play to your strengths as players. And, I've turned into a pretty good playmaker over the course of my career. And Donnie has a real feel for where to go. And when he does get chances, they tend to go in at a pretty good rate. And if he's in the slot, he's also got a really heavy shot. So that's all it is. I think we've talked about, I can transport it up the ice. I can, get it into the zone, and he can find good areas to score and to get shots off. And I think he's added a bit of playmaking to his repertoire as well. Like, that was a really good pass to Kirsch. He's had a few of those this year where he's made a pinpoint pass on the back door. And, our line's been, holding water and holding serve, and it's been good to see.
I feel like you had a lot of chances, not just your line, but a lot of chances that just didn't connect for whatever reason.
Tonight?
Yes.
What's the question?
So, do you feel like the team overall had a lot of chances that just didn't connect?
Yeah, Bird has that breakaway. Frankie had a couple good chances. At the end, we did generate enough, to win. But at the end of the day, we spent a lot of time in our end as the game wore on, and they leaned on us. And just as a 5-man unit, us forwards, we didn't support the puck well enough to break it out of our end, and wingers, we didn't do a good enough job on the wall, so they kept a ton of pucks in, and like I said, just kind of overwhelmed us at times throughout the game.
Second periods have been tough over the past few weeks, and I know you guys have talked about that. Is there something you feel like you guys could do better to break out of the pressure a little bit?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we're working on. The second period's interesting. It's a lot about changes and momentum, and even just getting the puck over the blue line and getting a face-off in the opposing end is a win a lot of the time, and it's about just time, 50-50 shifts, and then all of a sudden you get a few where you can hem them in their end and you can get changes without them being able to change. It's almost like 3-on-3 overtime in that aspect, and we're working on it. We've talked about it, and we're getting a bit better, but it's something that just kind of has to improve, and when you have a veteran team like Carolina on the other side, they're going to make you pay, especially if you make a couple mistakes.
All right, that's Taylor Hall, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know. I think he's very insightful.
Yeah.
Coach future, I think, for Taylor Hall. Front office.
Maybe, if he wants.
I think he's got a post-hockey future.
I mean, he's a former player, so he's got...
Oh, well, he's immediately a great GM
got
candidate.
the fast track to whatever job he wants. Yeah, I mean, maybe. But, yeah, I think that Hall is pretty... he breaks things down well, and like he said, it was just Carolina just had the puck way more, and they're a fast team, they're an aggressive team. They get on you to force turnovers and put you on your heels, and that's when they know their identity and they play into it very well, and against the team that some of the players are saying, well, we need to still find our identity. But I think from watching this team, you kind of know what their identity is. When you put the Hurricanes up against the Blackhawks, identity for identity, the Hurricanes are the team that is going to come out on top.
The one thing that stands out when you see these highly skilled NHL teams that are at the top of their divisions, top of the league, it is just that they don't miss on their passes. Everything's on a tape. Like we were talking during the Vegas game. Now that our seats have shuffled, now I get to talk to both you guys instead of just Greg.
Yeah.
Like it's right. The pucks from the Knights was like every pass was boom, like every pass was on the tape, like right on the money. And with this Hawks team, like you see those great chances come, and then someone like just misses the pass or it hops over the blade. And those Dynasty Hawks, man, like you could not clear the zone on them. Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook had the blue line on lock. No puck was getting through there. And it makes a big difference because it extends a shift 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And on a shift that's supposed to be a minute or less, 15, 20 seconds makes a huge difference in the course of a game. So as more talent arrives, those things will improve. And then you'll have more of the puck more, and you'll have more shots, and you won't be defending as much.
I think it also, can't be understated that some of these teams that you see play that way and at the top of the standings, like this Carolina team, the Vegas team, like a good portion of those teams kind of have stayed intact for the last few years. So it's a lot of familiarity with their group. And this is a Blackhawks group that doesn't have a ton of that. They have some young guys that have played some games in Rockford together. They have some young guys mixing with veterans that, this is their first season playing together. There's a bunch of veterans that just kind of came over from other teams, and some of them have played together. And it's just, the way it was built was just kind of like a lot of figuring out each other in a consistent way was going to be, going to take some time. So, these teams that have contended and have, kept some players together for a long time, it's a little bit easier to be crisp and to kind of understand the flow of where your teammates are going to be compared to this team where it's a lot of still trying to gel the pieces together.
All right. Tonight was a great night, aside from the results of the two games I cared about. We're only going to talk about one of them, but we had our top shelf takeover tonight in the suite, and it was a great night. So many people out there, and I know I'm going to forget names, but Simon, Thomas, Alan, Dave, Scott, Bill, John, Marty, Josh, Tori, Alan's mom, who loves white wine with ice, we learned.
Oh, okay.
There's so many great folks out there taking in the Hawks game, and it was just really cool to see like our takeovers sell out so fast.
We got a dedicated group.
And we see very familiar faces. There's Evil Bills on the left, the selfie king of Chicago. There's John and Marty, and there's Simon. Alan K is in that photo. Like, there's just so many great people that came out, and we had a great time. And Chris Chelios stopped by the booth. Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner came by with him, hung out for about 20, 25 minutes just to talk to everybody and say hi. I hope everybody that was there enjoyed it and had a great time.
In my head. Nice.
It was very cool to see those guys come in, and then just to see everybody. They were so excited to see Chelios come.
Oh yeah,
we didn't really advertise that. We thought it was probably going to happen.
Yeah,
but weren't 100% sure. And to see he came up. And I had to kind of like, go say hi. Like, that's why he's here. And everyone's like, oh, okay, we're allowed to say hi. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, right.
That's what he's here for. And hung out and chatted. And it was very cool. And got to talk some 90s wrestling with Danny Wirtz, which is always fun, which is always exciting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a great night. Great food. Our buddy Patrick Norton.
Shout out to Patrick.
He kind of emceed the entire event.
Yeah.
And just did a fantastic job.
Everybody got their goodie bags.
Yeah. And Simon won the bacon from Charlie.
Yeah.
$100.
He got the golden puck.
That's right. And thanks to Alex Vlasic for signing the pucks.
Yeah.
Everybody got the Future of the League shirt and the CHGO Nux Pins and Aces shirt.
The golf polo.
For the golf outing. So lots of great stuff. So make sure you're a diehard. You can come to these events. You can save on these events. It's 20% off all of them. You also get a shirt or hat when you sign up. But you don't have to be a diehard to come to the takeovers. But as I was talking to Simon during the game, he's like, this completely paid for itself. I got priceless experiences to meet Chris Chelios, 2 shirts, a signed Alex Vlasic puck, all this food, all this drink, saved on my ticket. It was great. So it was really an awesome night, and we really had a great time. So thank you, everybody who came out. And unfortunately, our win percentage takes a hit a little bit. But still, I think no regulation losses and takeovers.
Sure, let's say that's happening.
Is that true?
I have no idea. I forget the results.
I don't think. Yeah, I
some
think
of these games that we've had.
The only losses have been this one and the Patrick Kane game.
That's the only 2.
I think so.
Okay.
We'll have to go back and check.
Let's go with it.
But I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I think that'd be fine. Yeah, It was an awesome event.
Losing my voice, not ideal.
It was an awesome event. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's I love being able to have events like that. Like we do all the teams do the takeovers, Bears tailgates, Sunday 120 or Friday 120 club with the Cubs. Like it's a lot of fun and just a special time to be able to connect with the CHGO community that has been building, continues to build, and it's without people, like everyone in the chat, like the people that go to our events and everything, buy the merch, like without you guys' support, we don't get to do any of this. So really, really want to express the appreciation for everyone that reads our stuff, is a diehard, shares our stuff, buys merch, comes to events, all that stuff. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, this event was a lot of fun. I think we'll have one more before the end of the year.
That seems to be the plan. We'll try to confirm that.
Can't guarantee it's going to be in the suite.
No, that was cool though.
At least I think at least one more takeover we'll have before the end of the season.
The suite was such an awesome experience because when we have your typical takeovers, we have our own seats like in the main bowl, and during the game it's hard to move.
Yeah,
you can't really mingle. You're sort of with the people you're sitting with. In the suite, you're allowed to walk around, talk to everybody. Intermissions are everybody's hanging out, so it was just a great time. Really enjoyed it. The food was outstanding. There's Simon in the chat right there. Thanks again for the amazing event and the bacon supply. Yeah, very cool. Simon from Australia and his new, learning the game well, and he complimented us very well, saying like he's just learned a lot from listening to us. So just do the opposite of what we say.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way to learn.
Sure.
But yeah, it was just such a great event. And again, thanks to the Blackhawks for I reached out last week and said, hey, we're going to be in the suite. Feel free to stop by. And they said, yeah, we'll bring Chelly by. Like, okay.
Nice.
And I heard a rumor, by the way, that Brent Seabrook was in the building tonight.
Really?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
Nice.
And I thought he might be blowing the goal horn before the game, sounding the horn.
Yeah.
But that was
I feel
the
like
rumor.
if you're having Seabrook come in, something that would be like do that and you get a little extra recognition.
I would hope so.
If you're boosting up.
And they didn't show him. I know we missed probably the first part of the third. We were having some conversations up there.
I don't think. I feel like if they had shown him on the board,
it would have been obvious.
It would have been. We would have known from the 12,000 people in the building that he was being honored there.
And the millions watching at home, of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, a Seabrook night, whether it's like
coming.
like a Roenick night where it's just kind of celebrating him, or it's a Chelios night where you're also raising another number 7. That seems in the cards.
Yeah. All right, got a couple super chats we got to hit before we wrap up. Michael, $5 says offseason signings are important, but coach-wise, who should the Hawks KD go after? A David Carl or a veteran coach like John Cooper? I would say if you're going for inexperience, it would be specifically David Carl, but I think otherwise I want experience. I don't think John Cooper is going to become available to be a head coach. I think if either Tampa's going to re-sign him or he's going to find some director of hockey operations, hockey czar role.
Right, yeah.
I think just another lateral head coaching move is not going to get you John Cooper. It'd be great.
Yeah.
And you can there's no salary cap on coaches. So
No.
feel free. But
yeah, I think if you go the veteran route, I mean, there's a number of guys people that'll be available. I know one name people are interested in is whatever happens with Mike Sullivan. Seems like
makes a lot of sense.
He's on the way out at some point, whether it's in season or after this year. That would be someone that would interest me. Guy that's had a lot of success, a lot of pedigree in the league. I don't like. I think it's probably unlikely that the Blackhawks organizational situation entices David Carl away from what he has built with at the University of Denver. But as the $1 Million Man says, everyone
got a price.
has their price. So I think if you're going inexperienced, if you're going with yet another coach who will be getting their first NHL job, he seems like the one to go after for his success at the college level, success with Team USA at the World Juniors, just having a rapport with young guys. I think that's what you can build with. But again, I think if you're not going, he's the only guy that I'm like, he's a first time coach, but I'm okay with it. That's really the only guy I'm going with.
He's Ben Johnson.
Otherwise, get a veteran. Yeah, can Ben Johnson coach hockey?
I hope so.
Can he run some trick plays?
Maybe. Trick play, shoot it. Yeah, I would be down. I would be down with that. But yeah, Mike Sullivan makes a lot of sense. A lot of people saying Bruce Boudreau. I don't know. I mean, there was a long time where he was considered a boob. You know, like, I don't know.
Bruce Boudreau?
Yeah.
I mean, does he want to, get back into it? I mean, he's made a nice.
Yeah, and I think if he wants to get back into it, it's not for a rebuild.
TV.
I think to someone like David Carl, the Hawks situation could be appealing because there's guys in the organization he's coached.
Yeah.
And Nazar and more. People in the sport see what is coming for the Blackhawks. But Boudreau, who's probably going to say, like, whatever happens, this will probably be my last coaching job. He probably wants a chance at a cup.
Right.
And you can't really blame him for that. So, I don't know. We'll see. We're going to find out.
John Tortorella.
Oh, God. Let's get to the 4-star of the game and wrap this up, shall we? Who's the winner, Sarah? It's Ryan Donato.
Ryan Donato.
Deservingly
so.
Don't trade him. Re-sign him. This is the hill I will die on.
Yeah. If we're picking one guy to re-sign that otherwise would be a good trade piece, I'd say Donato. But keeps playing this way, keeps producing points.
14 goals.
Especially in the trade market that it looks like, you might actually get more than you were expecting for a guy like
We'll
Ryan
see.
Donato.
It depends. Don't just give him away. I think that's more of my point.
No, I agree.
All right. We got to wrap things up. Back tomorrow at 2:30. What are we going to talk about? We don't know yet. We haven't gotten that far.
Hockey probably.
No practice tomorrow. So maybe it's a mailbag show. How's that sound?
I'm not going to argue.
All right. We'll do a mailbag show tomorrow. We just decided. All right. It is done. We'll send the tweet in the morning. If you're on the Discord as a diehard, go into that mailbag tab on the Discord page and submit your questions. Diehards get priority, as always. And if you want to become one, do it. AllCHGO.com. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2:30 right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.